we are going to go through configuring Windows. You, as a technical support, you are going to do a number of activities and things that normal user don't do. Normal user, they have only one place to think about, which is going to be setting or control panel, which you go here and you go to settings and you will go to the panel and you can see the panel. I have Windows 10, that's why it looks like this. And you will see the panel or the settings and you can manage it from there. That's the most of people know or think where to go. But there's a number of places we are going to go. From these things, one of the activity you do as a technical support going to be adding devices. Now, adding devices as a hardware component, you should already have it in a hardware configuration where the instructor will talk about the anti-static strips or wristbands, anti-static pads, anti-static gloves, how you should deal with the hardware component, how you take it apart and how you put it back all together. That's back to the hardware configuration instructor to teach you exactly what you need to know and deal with the hardware component. After adding the device, there's one important piece, which is device driver. Device driver, so important piece that we should have a look at it. Now, I will take you from the well-known place, then I will take you another way. If you go to this PC or the computer and right-click properties, you will go to this screen, which is if you go to the settings or control panel and you click on system, then you will see this screen. This screen going to give you an opportunity to go to device manager, and device manager going to hold all devices that related to any hardware component on this machine. When last week my computer crashed, and I mentioned maybe I have 3 monitors, I don't have 1 or 2, I have 3. So when my computer crashed, the third monitor like disappeared, like just the piece is not connected. So after putting the correct device driver, which is I don't have it, I need to go to an application. I used Driver Easy, didn't find it, so I needed to go to use another software, which is called Driver Booster, and it was able to say that I have a missing piece of device that I need to install it, and I install it and immediately start working. And that's why we need to go. Now, over here, you have everything about the hardware pieces connected to your computer. And you can see everything. Now, if you go to view, you have hidden devices. Now, why we have hidden devices? The hidden devices is the one that you connect and disconnected. So actually, you have the device driver for it, but it's not online or it's not connected physically. And that's why you need to have this to be connected. What we have more, adding a printer. If you want to add a printer, or technically we call it add devices. So we go here, printer and scanner, we click over here. The network, and you can see I have, what's this? Oh, so it's waiting to get the configuration. Devices like mouses, keyboards, and so on, and you can see that's how my keyboard is connected, how the mouse is connected, and all other pieces, like how many devices I have. I have 2 TVs that's connected to my network. I have this monitor, and I have the printer. I have another network, which is, I think this is, no, I think this is either the virtual LAN or it's an actual LAN. So I have a bunch of devices we can add to. So we go to the setting, devices, and we go add device or add a printer and so on. Can you hear me? Did I forget something? Yes, I forgot something. Mario? Robert?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
Emily? Rafael? Rafael. Troy? And Steven.
Here.
Okay, let's go back. So, as I mentioned, we can add devices. We have the opportunity to add printer devices. We can go to the device manager and see all other devices that's connected to the PC and all other information about it. Now, if you, let's go back. Let me bring it for 1 minute. If you are suspecting one of the devices is not working properly, you can go to it by right-click, properties, and it will give you over here. This device is working properly. Nothing on it, working fine, no issues, and it will tell you everything over here. If it has error, it will tell you the error. Adding a display setting. In terms of the display settings, if you go right-click and properties or display setting, you will see this display and where you are going to, based on which one you've selected. So I'm in the middle, which is the one that I'm working. I can change the resolution. I can make it a portrait or a landscape. I make it default and so on by right-click and properties. Troubleshooting a device that's not working, immediately go to the device manager and see if it has a problem. In some situation, we have an applications that maybe we need to run it in a previous instructions. What the meaning of that? Each operating system have a different way to talk with the hardware component. When you have an old component, let me say if it's hardware or software. If you have an old one and you need to use the compatibility mode, you can use the compatibility mode by going to the compatibility and saying that it can work on Windows XP. So technically, this operating system will deal with this specific software or hardware as it was in XP. Installing and removing software, we can go to the add remove software or add remove programs. We have a list over here. You can go by name or by the date of install. You will see the list over here, and you can understand that we can add more or remove devices. Adding a device or a software, we can go to Microsoft Store, or we go to an exe file and download it. Now, there's one piece that we can talk about. Let's see if we have it over here. No, not this one. Windows features. Windows features. Now, add remove features. Turn on. Okay. Now, this is a different story. These are our Windows features. We can turn on and turn off some specific features. In other words, I can switch this machine to be a virtualized machine. It will be the host for the guest machines. Or I can switch this to be a web server. Just click over here. I can switch it to an FTP. I can have it a web tools. I can have the World Wide Web services. I can have more stuff in terms of how I want to have this machine to act. And actually, I can switch the machine from one type of machine into a web server just by having some services available. And this is the difference and the location where the system that's 32, where it's going to go, which is going to be in the program files over here. It's going to be in another place for the program that is 64-bit. You need to understand whenever you add a software, there's a system requirement from the speed of the computer to the RAM, the disk spaces, the operating system compatibility, and so on. It should be considered when coming to the adding or removing software. Also, over here you can see how we can remove or add an application. This is an old one, by the way. This is when Windows features. We have it over here. We can add or remove features and so on. Computer Management Console, MMC. If you just type in run MMC, console will open for you. This will show up, and this is MMC. This will give you a report, actions about whatever you want the management console to provide for you. There's other thing called computer management. If you put in the research, just put computer management, this piece will show up. This, where's that? Over here. This will show up. And when this comes, now normal users, they don't use it. So what's this? This is the entire computer over here. I can go to task scheduler if I want to schedule a task. I can create a basic task or create a task or import a task to run on a specific time and do a specific action. I can go to event viewer to view whatever events happened, to view my logs. I can go to the shared folders and view my folder. I can go to users on computer and see what they are doing, who have access to it and whatever. I can go to the performance and I can monitor my computer performance. I can go to the device manager. Yes, it's the same exact piece, which is the second location where you can find it. I can go to one of the most important pieces, which is going to be considered disk management. It's not a disk defragment, it's not disk cleanup, it's management. I can delete a partition, I can combine the partitions, I can increase or shrink a partition or extend the partition. I can manipulate it how I want. And I can see whatever service is available. I can turn off some services or turn on some services. We will reach to it when we reach it. That's the computer management. So we can see what we can do from it. Task scheduler, event viewer, system logs. We have also shared folders. Credential Manager is based on the Windows. Yes, I have it on my Windows, which is going to hold Windows credentials, web credentials, and other type of credentials. And now this is Windows Valid that holds credentials and certifications. Over here, we have more. Here is the local users in the group, local group. If your computers belong to an organization, then you belong to a domain, you don't see this. But if you work on a small business or standalone computer, that's what you see. UAC, user account control, is where it will give you notification saying that this application going to install something, or this action going to record something, or whatever. So that's the control management. Device manager, we already talked about it. We can go to the device. We can update the device if we want to. For me, if I want to update the drivers for devices, I will go like either driver easy or driver booster, which technically it will scan your computer and try to give you information about what drivers that outdated and you need to update it. Disk management, we have a lot of things that we can work. We have the option of mounting, which is map an empty folder on an NTFS, initializing, which is make a drive available to be used by right-click and initialize disk, extending partition, which is increasing the size, splitting partition, which is divide space on a hard drive, shrink partition, which is decrease the size, assigning, changing characters, letters. We also have adding a drive or adding an array options. This is disk maintenance. This is where you do disk cleanup, error checking, and other things related to maintaining your disk space. Doing a cleanup is one of the important things. Doing defragment is also so important to do. Services. If you go to right-click in Task Manager, you can see where we have over here services. Oh, I have 90-something%. Okay. We have over here services. If I open services, I will see all services where I can turn on and turn off any services I want, I like or dislike. I can right-click it and say, this is running. I can say stop. I can do whatever I want to do. Open database connectivity is a database that's going to hold the extensions of which application using that extension. So technically, DOC, it will say Word, Excel will be Excel files going to be XLS and so on, and that's the connectivity database. It's also available. Print management, just put this command, print management.msc, in terms of the run, and you will see this, and we'll show all printers available and their work, their queue, and so on. And if you have a problem, issues, we'll show it from here. Boot process. Now, whenever we have an operating system, when we click on the power, what's going to happen? The power on self-test is going to check. It will check for hardware component, and then we'll start working on getting information from the BIOS about where to find Windows and how to locate it and how to pull it and how to call it. Pre-boot, which is the BIOS EFI controls, the process of looking and finding and allowing an operating system to be loaded. Then we have Windows Boot Manager, bootmjr.exe, locate and execute Windows loader when load, and Windows operating system loader. Some drives that need the Windows kernel are loaded. Then we have Windows kernel to be loaded and so on. Have you ever boot into a computer and you find your computer too slow? Windows seems to do a problems when booting. So the place we will go, if you go and into run and just type msconfig, and this will power up. This will come. I can go to boot, and I see my boot options over here. I will go to advanced, and you can see that I'm specifying that I need to use 8 cores of a CPU when I boot. I'm forcing it to use 8. Over here, I'm not forcing the maximum RAM because I want it to automatically choose it. However, I'm allowing the maximum CPU for my booting, so I can speed it up. What I have more? In the MS config, we have general. We can load the normal startup or selective startup. If I go to option, I can, or the boot option, I can select to boot with a save mode. Save mode with minimal, that means no GUI, alternative or alternate shell, active directory repair, and network. Or I can say, hey, I want to have no GUI, I want to have the boot log, I want to have base video, and or operating system boot information. Again, services, you have a lot of services that from Windows or not. I can hide all services from not Windows, and I can turn off these if I don't want them to start with Windows. When it starts, open Task Manager and go to the startup. So you Task Manager and startup, and these are the applications that's running when the computer starts up. Tools, these are the tools that will show up with Windows. I can run specific things, I can, disregard it. Troubleshooting the boot process, we have a lot of ways. If you have a problem with the boot, you will be required to do some work in BIOS. So technically, you need to know exactly which drive holds the operating system, check if the configuration is accurate, remove the power cord. Sometimes you need to reset it, so you leave it for 2 minutes. Sometimes you have a battery inside, take the battery out and take the, what they call, forget which one, the lithium battery, the scent battery, you take it out for a couple of seconds to reset the BIOS if you want to. And here you can check for a lot of issues with the boot. Sometimes during the boot, we have a black screen or a blue screen. Black screen means something. Windows is not supposed to hang during the boot process because of a video driver and compatibility. Instead, the operating system loads a default video driver. If video is a problem while working in Windows, then it will get a black screen or a blank screen. And to save time, boot into save mode, you could use the system configuration MSConfig, boot tab, enable boot video checkbox, and click OK. Boot log. Windows recovery. In recent years, we needed to use a way to recover Windows. So Microsoft created something called Windows Recovery Environment, or WinRE, which is a way that the system tried to repair the corrupted files. So if the system cannot work, you need to repair it. It's going to repair that specific file. If it's not able, it will ask you to have a copy of a backup or something and try to copy that specific file. If it's not available, then you need to go ahead and take another action, which is you may go to a system image or reset the computer. Windows Restore is when you have a restore point. How you have a restore point is, I'll tell you exactly how. Create forget system protection. Okay, I got it. From here, system protection. From system protection, system properties will show up. Over here where it says configuration, you need to make sure that the system is enabled, and you can click over here, create a task, a restore point. So you go to system protection. From here, from system protection, and this will show up. Whenever you install an application or remove an application, do a specific task, you will have an automatic restore point. These are the advanced boot. What you can do, you can boot with network, you can boot only with command, low resolution boot. You have a lot of options where it comes to boot. System configuration or MS config, we have a lot of services with it, like selective startup. I can load only a specific application to start up, or I can load only the minimal for which Windows need. Over here, I can specify the number of processors available. Don't have a maximum RAM because it will limit your computer to exceed that number. So I always have this unchecked. I can have services to be enabled or application to be enabled or disabled during boot. Task Manager, right click in Task Manager, one of the places that you go that give you an idea about the usage of your computer. What is the percentages for the usage of CPU, memory, and so on. It gives you an idea about the performance in a graphical way where it tells you your CPU using this, your GPU using this, your Wi-Fi is using this, and so on. As I mentioned, if you go to services, you will be able to go to a specific services and you can start it and you can go to the properties of it and you can say start manually, start or stop or pause or resume, start it automatically or start it automatic, delayed, that means waiting for everything to load, or disabled, and so on. So technically this piece is manual. So whenever you have an issue to load your profile, have you ever heard where say loading your profile and keep waiting? Now you need to create, and technically if you take this step verbatim, it will give you the steps that you need to create a new profile for your user. And you have a new settings. Now we will have a chapters that's going to discuss only networking, which is after, I think, after module 7, or module 7 actually starts with. So we have something called DHCP, which is Dynamic Host Control Protocol, and or you can specify the IP addresses. If you don't know the IP addresses, you can go to something called IP config. It will give you the IP addresses that you have, or you can go to the properties of the network and you go to obtain automatically IP address, or you can specify it from the provider. Many of the problems going to, fix when you restart your services, when you start your computer. Turning off and running out, all temp file will be removed, all services will be stopped and reboot again. And if the problem consists, that means you have another problem, not one that just needs to restart. You have a power option whenever you have laptop. You have power options where you can put it balance. You can put it power saver, which is dim your screen and reduce the amount of services available, and or high performance, which take your battery faster. Virtual memory, I think you need to configure it for virtual memory. So you go to the system protection, you go to configure. No, not for me. Advanced and performance, and over here advanced, you have a lot of options. User profile, no. And give me over here. That's a different story. Give me 1 minute. Let me just talk with them outside. I will be back.
Having issues with the network, I think.
Okay, so you need to see the video after we complete. I will upload it for you.
Okay.
So you will go to, yeah. What's your name, by the way? I think I didn't take your attendance.
It's Rafael Melendez.
Okay, let me count you in. Okay. So if you go to this PC, you right click on and properties, and you go all the way where it says system protection. You go there, you will go to advanced, the first one where it says performance, click there, click on advanced, change the virtual memory, and you can either let the system choose it or you automatically choose it. Right this moment, there's like around 76 gigabytes available for virtual memory, I think. So this is a virtual memory over here. It don't do a lot, but it's help when task that is not full complete, it can't wait over there. This is also in task manager where you can go and view the activity. Performance monitor, it will give you the opportunity to monitor your computer. You can create a task and say, monitor my hard drive for me, monitor my CPU, and it will tell you if it has a problem or not. Okay. Resource monitor. Let me see. Resource monitor. Resource monitor is, come on, this tool where you can say, hey, I want to have resources about my CPU, and it will tell you exactly what's happening with your CPU. Or it will say RAM, and it will tell you exactly what's going on with the RAM, disks, and network, and so on. So it's not performance, but monitor. Okay. Most of the time, technical support work remotely. So we have two ways to connect to through a remote assistant and remote desktop connection. Remote assistant, it will request the user to allow you to access the computer and work with their account using their account, or you are going to use remote desktop connection to connect to the specific PC, but you need to have your username and password ready. Let me put it here so I can look to the camera. Preventive maintenance for your operating system. You need to make sure you keep your operating system healthy. So you need to make sure that you do maintenance, you do disk defragment, you do backup, you do updates, you check everything. So you need to make sure that your operating system is healthy. So as your text say, your operating system is a key component of working system. Preventive maintenance can help avoid issues and reduce downtime when properly applied. No application or hardware can work without operating system. It is important to keep your operating system healthy. The following suggested help: always have an antivirus or anti-malware, let me call it, not virus, software currently available, not only installed but updated and active. Make frequent the data backups. Have a backup of your operating system. Ensure that the system restore utility enabled. Update the operating system with service packs and patches, and use task scheduler tool to automate some of the preventive maintenance rather than you sit down and you do it. These are the soft skills that you will find it in each and every chapter. They ask you about it. For our chapter today is avoid burnout. One of the biggest things that will force someone to quit their job and change their careers is they are burned out. They have a lot of work and they did a lot of things and they are not happy with that. So it's burnout. You do more than your capabilities. overreaction to a common situation, constant tiredness, reduced productivity, poor attitude, lack of patience with customers or peers, feeling of loss of control, and use of food, drink, or drugs as combining mechanisms. So you can reduce your. So what you do, take a vacation, set reachable goals. Don't put the goal that's too far for you. Take a couple breaks during the day, learn something new, have a good eating, sleeping routines, and subscribe to a positive saying or jokes of the day. This is the end of the chapter. Questions? No questions? No here. Then I will have this available for you to review it. Next week, we will work with Linux kind of and get introduced to Linux. And you will see it. On my machine, I have Kali Linux, so it's different than the one that you have on your NetLab. And we will talk more next week. Okay. Module 6 is an examination, so I need to find an answer to how we will monitor your test. Let me read this message. Let me see who's this. Mario. See your question. I didn't get your question, or I didn't see it. Number one is weird because when you sign up as an administrative rights, you have administrative rights in NetLab, then that's it. You have administrative rights when you use the Windows. I think you did some step that is a missing piece that did the problem. However, as I mentioned, take to the best of your knowledge, upload whatever you can. I had some student who asked me, can they use their own computer? Yes, you can. But NetLab is for your own protection. That's it. Why we need to use NetLab? Just for your own protection. Can I use my own computer? Yes, I use my own computer. I know what I'm doing. But maybe you do some kind of task that can resolve problem. Okay? Maybe you change the configuration of your machine. That's why we use NetLab. But if you want to use your computer, you can. Okay? Questions? PowerShell, you have it on Windows. You have PowerShell on Windows. So just put PowerShell and you will see it. Questions? No questions? Then see you next week.